didn't just affect people financially, but emotionally, I think was the biggest thing, you know, from a mental perspective. And for me, the way I deal with things is I train.
Welcome everybody, it's your boy John David and you listening to Becoming Podcast. Welcome to episode number 17. Oh guys, as you guys know, we are celebrating the Women's Month and I have a very special guest here. I think we became friends. My other boss, I have so much bosses, but this is one of my other bosses, Celeste, founder of Venomous. Welcome, Celeste.
Thank you, Sean. Thanks for having me.
That is really good. You know what I like about it? I think we met for the first time and we were just like, our energy was just like,
Absolutely.
I was like, you Celeste, you like me, we're the same. Celeste, before we head off into some good conversation, for those that don't know you, tell us a bit about you, where you're from, everything that you want to say. Yeah.
How much time you have?
You just go. Just
no,
go.
I'm kidding. So born and bred in Cape Town, proudly South African, been in hospitality prior to COVID for almost 18 years. Absolutely passionate about the industry, and I stayed in the industry obviously for as long as I did because I'm very passionate about this country as well. I love the fact that we have so many diverse cultures in South Africa, and it was something that I just love to show off when we have international guests. Unfortunately, COVID hit, and hospitality is as it is at the moment. But yeah, that was always my passion, and aside from that, getting outdoors was the next best thing, because if you are in hospitality, you have to have a lot of patience and nerves of steel and dealing with a lot of interesting characters. And I think a way for me to sort of break away and sort of shut down from all that noise in the office generally was just to get outdoors and run and cycle and those sorts of things. That's the one thing that my dad has instilled in my life, is that the outdoors are free, and yeah, I've just always enjoyed being outdoors, and that's really sort of what sort of led me here. So.
And tell me about Venomous, the story.
Sure.
He started.
Yeah, I wish I could take credit for being the original founder, and now I'm going to share with you. Venomous actually started back in 2016, a mate of mine. So being in hospitality, myself and Joe, we actually worked together on some really, really big events in Cape Town. And when I'd left the industry for a short bit, myself and Joe had actually worked together. I was his business development manager for an events company. And at the time I was doing a heck of a lot of trail running, and he was training for Ironman and doing all these crazy things. That's also how we connected, both with the love of outdoors. And so initially when Joe was training, he was training for, I think, his first or second Ironman, and he quickly realized that as a cyclist, he was an easy target at that time, and this is 2016. At that time, the cyclists were getting attacked and hijacked off their bikes, and so the idea was like, okay, well, I really need to focus on my personal safety if I'm gonna keep training solo. And a lot of the time, because you're doing long distances, you don't always have someone to train with you, so you are training solo. And he realized, okay, well, he needs something as a personal safety or self-defense device. Do you carry a gun with you? It's not practical, it puts you in danger as well if you're carrying a gun. I mean, and he made a joke the one day, the last thing you want to do is shoot yourself in the foot. You're running, that's not going to get you to Ironman in the first place. And so pepper spray to him made sense. But the one thing about pepper spray, the challenge you have is, how do you carry it? So if you're running, you're running like 40 odd Ks, you're cycling 100, I don't even know how much it is for Ironman, but it's crazy distances. So you need to be able to use your hands, one on your bike, and two, if you're running. For me, trail running, I need my hands if I'm going to fall off the mountain, otherwise it's going to be look mom, no front teeth. So, for Joe, he was like, okay, so at some point he thought of Velcro, and it sounded really ridiculous at the time. But, you know, as he's sort of going through the process of trying different things on the pepper sprays, it actually came together perfectly. And that's actually how it was born. Now, he'd actually, as he had developed this really cool strap, because remember, we haven't reinvented the pepper spray. Pepper spray's been around since the 70s. You know, it's been around. The only thing we wanted to do was to invent a functional way in which to carry a pepper spray and to incorporate it, especially for athletes in their workout. And so he created this really cool idea that actually worked really well. So he said to me, I remember the day finally developed this strap, which was the Cobra as we know it now. Yes. And he's like, Celeste, try this on. And I strapped it around my arm. I was like, this is the coolest thing. Like, you know, I was his number one fan. I was like, dude, I love this, you know. And I was on the mountain with my pepper spray. And the lucky thing about it is it was, you know, the key functionality is immediate accessibility. Yes. That's the whole point. And so I'd moved on from Shape of Africa, and Joe had actually moved to, him and his family had immigrated overseas, and we sort of lost contact shortly. It was probably about a year after he'd started Venomist. And so if I can fast forward quickly to the pandemic, hospitality, unfortunately, had, you know, it is what it is, and a lot of people, like a lot of people in hospitality, was faced with retrenchment. And as a result of coping with a lot of the stress, I was doing a lot more solo training, and I was outdoors, and my husband was like, you can't be out there without a pepper spray. And I'd long lost the strap, and for the life of me, I mean, we'd moved since then, and for the life of me, I just couldn't find it. And so I decided, you know what, let me just contact Joe and say, hey buddy, what's happening with Venomist? You know, I really think there's an opportunity to bring it back. You know, there's a lot of people training and a lot of people cycling, and unfortunately the issues haven't gone away. Yes. And he said to me, you know what, Celeste, actually in his part of the world, pepper spray is illegal for civilians to carry. And there's actually a lot of places in certain parts of certain countries that don't allow pepper spray. And so he said to me, you know what, take it over, run with it. It was a takeover and a makeover. You know, Joe's focus was basically for security companies. He felt that they could really benefit from that, you know, especially the ADT guys driving around your neighborhood. You don't want to, you know, you want to equip them with the self-defense tool as well. And although they are well trained, it just made sense. And so he did really, really well in the tactical industry, and I really wanted to just change that. I wanted it to appeal to people like you and I, you know, that it's not just rough, tough, tactical self-defense. It needed to, at the end of the day, it's a self-defense product, and everybody, you know, we all share a common need for safety. And I really wanted to, with the makeover, just to bring that out so that people could see that, you know, from your mom to your, obviously we don't recommend it for children, adults only, to your best friend, to your granny, you know, because personal safety, everybody has a right to it. And I wanted it to appeal to everyone, and that everyone could see how accessible and functional it is. Whereas his focus was more, and I want to say because he's a boy, and I don't want to discriminate, but it was his industry, it was the people he knew, and it worked for him at the time. And I just wanted to soften that image. And pepper spray also has a bad rep with some people, and I just wanted to soften that image of having a pepper spray, and that it's something that everyone can use and benefit from.
And I think I remember we were doing videos, and I said, look at this idea, and you were just like, yeah, I love that idea, John, but can we just, you know, keep your focus on that, because you don't want to bring that message across. And I think just the way we met, I was just sitting, I'm thinking, I was just on that, like you said, the pandemic beat us all, and then I was just on the thing of like, let's connect with some people, and I was, you know, inboxing people left, right, and center, and I was like, you know what, I see something in, I'm like, okay, cool, I'm seeing something, like, I just, knock, that was my attitude. You just knock on doors, somebody has to open.
Yeah.
And I mean, I actually spoke to my friend, and I told him, like, it's amazing how we have connected now, and how we are more than just strangers.
Yeah.
From a simple inbox, and here we are in partnership, and it's amazing how we can get this connection that it can't be broken again.
Absolutely.
And just connecting from there, and we know that females is having a tough time. With my fiance, I've experienced that, because to me that was like, I get my car, I leave my car open, I'm going to the shop quickly, I leave my car, or I sit in the car. There's no scary feeling that I have. When I would go to the shop and she's in the car, she would lock the car, and I'm like, why would you want to lock? She's like, you don't understand what it is for a female to be in this time. And that's when I had to realize, and my eyes were open, like how women feel when it comes to this. And even, and I'm thinking of the people say, it's for me also. Sometimes we go to gym, we close the gym literally. So when we drive home and you stand at the robots, and if you touch it, it feels just much safer to have it in your hand.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, dude, I'm using this whole bottle on you. But just pulling up to the robots, or wherever you are, or when I feel, okay, I don't know this area, I quickly just take it, because it's nice and small, I have it with me, and you know that, it's not going to make the crime disappear, but you're going to feel much safer. And I think as a female business lady, there's obviously business in itself is hard.
Yeah.
Just in itself but my question is that, how difficult is it to be a female business owner?
So I've always had, I'm going to use this term, and it's probably a US term, but I have a lot of moxie, if I can put it that way. I can be quite a little firecracker, and that comes from my experience in dealing with a lot of different people within hospitality. I'm grateful for that experience. But so for me as a businesswoman, I take things head on, and I was once told that.
Sorry for interrupting, but this episode is fueled by Borden's Garden Services and Projects. For all your garden maintenance, well points, and also paving, you can get hold of them at 083 252 2353. Enjoy this episode.
That I introduced myself, and I almost, and I don't know if this is probably a good thing to say, but I almost demand respect in my approach. And because I feel that if I'm respecting you, I expect you're in my space, and we need to respect one another. However, if I break that down a little bit more in terms of what I'm doing now, so being in hospitality, there are a lot of females in hospitality, also very woman-driven when it comes to operations and sales and marketing. But being a woman in a self-defense industry, if I can cheekily put myself there, has certainly come with its challenges. I think it's very male dominant, and it's been interesting to observe because as a woman I have a lot of ideas, because I know how I feel when it comes to my safety, and I know that when it comes to the self-defense industry, it is very male dominant, and you have these guys that are training you and whatever, and they understand the dangers, but I don't think they quite understand the dangers as a female. They know what the dangers are, that they can teach you and be very militant about it, and this is what your attacker's going to do, and but as a female, in this industry, I really hope to create more collaborations across the board, to open up the platform, to allow it to be more, I want to say more female friendly, but that probably, I'm not using that term correctly, but to allow females to engage more on this self-defense platform. I think at the moment it feels very closed, and women they'll go and do a course, and it's taught by a male, and no offense, you have some incredible instructors out there, and they teach you the skills you need 100%, and I absolutely love what they do, but I don't feel that always they have that 100% engagement with females, and I'd really like to grow this platform and grow that collaboration so that we can have females feel more empowered and engaged on, within the industry.
You are not saying that. It just makes me think also a bit about becoming, as the podcast. We have a lot of platforms where women speak about the issues about males and how to do it, and it's nice and it's good, but you're not a male.
Yeah.
And this is the same way the podcast is that we as males, we speak the male language.
Yeah.
And once we can relate much better to these issues and these things. So it's very nice. There's a lot of male platforms. So just like you're saying, it's that even though the industry in the self-defense it is like that, but the feeling of what it is to be a female. So then any way that you can project your product and the brand, you will know, women will be like, I can relate to that. The same way we do with our males, and we can say there's just some stuff that women can speak that is research, but there's some stuff with males that we know as males that is us. The pandemic, I know the pandemic hit everybody. We literally every single person. I want to say what was your special, or what was your special story as how the pandemic hit the Venomist?
So look, Venomist was rebirthed in the industry, if I can put it that way, in the pandemic. Yes. As a result of me training solo, my husband and I, we tag team. We've got kids at home, so even though I want to say we live in a fairly safe area, what is a fairly safe area anymore? There isn't. So I was getting up at 5 a.m. and I'm doing a run, then I'm coming home, grabbing my bike, I'm going out for a cycle. I mean, I was maximizing the time, You're at home with your kids all the time. You're like, I just need a break and I need to get mentally fit type of thing, because, the pandemic didn't just affect people financially, but emotionally, I think was the biggest thing, from a mental perspective. And for me, the way I deal with things is I train and I try to get focused. But the problem is, with being outdoors, and the pandemic itself, we realized, and even on neighborhood watch groups and Facebook groups, that the crime is increasing. People are without jobs, people are hungry. So there's going to be opportunistic crime, and there's going to be crime out of necessity. That is just what it is. There's nothing that you or I can do to change it. It's got to come from the powers that be within the country. And so that's how Venomist was rebirthed, was out of that necessity. But if you think about business, starting a business, number one, is hard. Number two, starting it in a pandemic is really, really tough. And the consumer has changed their habits a lot when it comes to spending. People don't know if they've got a job next month. People don't know if they can afford to feed their kids tomorrow, let alone next month. So you've got to be sensitive to people's spending at this point in time, and understand that people aren't spending money and why. So instead of going, well, people are buying, I've stopped focusing on product, and I've taken it as an opportunity to focus on the message behind the product, and that's personal safety. I want people to know that Venomist really cares about your safety. It started out of necessity for me, and necessity for Joe. He wants to be safe on his bike, and so that's the message first and foremost, that you and I, our safety comes first. And so that's how we've sort of grown from there to focus on other campaigns and NPOs that give back. And so that's really, I've taken the experience and really tried to focus on something positive, and that the hope is that by the end of this pandemic, that message is out there, that people see it, that it's clear that we really care about your personal safety. The product, the sales will follow as a result of, but let us come across as a responsible brand that really cares.
And I've even being part of the group, we just know how passionate everybody is and how we just fit like a glove. You're very passionate about outdoors, you're very passionate about safety, and I think as in our group, when when we chat, you could have said, guys, let's push shelves, let's do this, but you're really out on safety and awareness of safety, and also just out and running and checking out who ran this morning, who done this, and I'm like, I am not going to do that. I'll do the entertainment side. But other than outdoors and safety, what other passions do you have?
I think I touched on it earlier when we spoke, but I am a feeder. I love to feed my family. So during the pandemic, when we weren't allowed out, I felt like a bit like Hilda from Seven de Laan, creating a lot of concoctions. And bless, my family must love me very much, because most of the concoctions they ate, sometimes I would throw it away and spare them. But I think my other passion really is my family. I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to share this time with them. And I mean, my daughter, the pandemic hit, she just turned 2, and I think there's got to be a blessing here. I've gotten to watch her grow, her little sassy personality just come alive. My son has found a passion for mountain biking, so he's kicking my butt out on the trails. And then, when we're not doing things together, I'm in the kitchen and I'm really just, my passion is food and feeding my family, and that's the heart of the home, is the kitchen.
I really wish I knew that before time, because I could say you're going to bring something that you cooked up if we knew your passion was food. So we will invite you for another podcast where we speak about food and passion for food.
I can't say my food is any good, but I do love experimenting.
Yeah. We had a call and we spoke about this, and like you say, we can't throw a blind eye to what's happening out there. And gender-based violence, the volume on gender-based violence is loud. I think it's come a long way, but it's louder right now. And then with me, when I do some research, I will always, whatever we're going to speak about, do some research. And I love the fact that it says here that gender-based violence involves acts of violence committed against women, men, boys, and girls as a result to social norms and the roles or behaviors expect of each other. My question is, why do you think that the females are highlighted most?
So, based on research, I'll be fair there, not my research that I've come across. The biggest reason why females are at the heart of this, and yes, gender-based violence isn't just females. It's important to note that, there's a whole bunch of different definitions of gender-based violence, but females are unfortunately at the heart of it. And I want to say, society would say, well, they're more vulnerable or whatever it is, but actually, that comes from social norms, that is derived from culture. It's derived from community, it's derived from family, and it is actually within certain cultures, communities, and families, it is acceptable to treat a woman in a certain way, and so with this campaign specifically, the objective is, number one, to make more noise, number two, to empower women, but number three, if women are at the heart of this and experiencing this, femicide in South Africa is the highest than any other place in the world. That means we've got a real big problem. Our next thing would be to go into these communities, these families, these cultures, and teach these boys to become men, what it means to be the head of your family, what it means to lead your family, what it means to, how to treat women, respectfully so. And a lot of the things that we're highlighting now, we are highlighting all sorts of things and all sorts of gender-based violence. It's important to talk about everything as a whole, but the NPO Fight Back SA that we are supporting this campaign at the moment, they actually have these programs in place where they're going into these high-risk communities and they're teaching these girls and women to fight back, which I think is fantastic. But then they've also launched another program which is like mind-blowing, and it's so exciting. It's a 12-week program. They also go into these communities, and I think the one place is Lavender Hill that they're launching now. It's a 12-week program. They're actually teaching these young men, these young boys. They're going through a step-by-step program and really helping them develop their skills, and the objective is to grow together and show them what it should be, what is socially acceptable, and it can only benefit them, and it can benefit the future females. It can benefit our future generation, really. And that's really what we should be focusing on, is how we can affect the future, how we can affect our children, how we can affect their future, and so on and so forth. How we can stop gender-based violence, because it's such an issue globally as well as in SA. We understand, but that is our first pandemic we need to deal with. We understand that COVID is there, but this has been there for a while, and it's getting worse, and we just need to make more of a noise about it.
Yes. I like that. I think this conversation was also very interesting. And it's so true what you're saying. We do have to make some noise. We do it, and I think that is also one of the reasons why we have these platforms where we know 95% of our people is on the phones, is on the YouTube, on all these channels. So we need to create this stuff, and it's really good and well to have the conversations. And I think the reason why we have this platform is that we used to have these conversations, but no one hears about it. And now we can literally put this information and put it out there on media where people are on a daily basis. Venomous is really growing. Venomous is doing the things. I would really encourage our people to get the product. It's whether you're in your car, on your bike, whether you're jogging, wherever you are, it really helps. It finds you. It has a place even behind your door. We have products where you're behind the door where you can just, somebody knocking, can spite them. But I'm thinking, my question to you is with the product and with the brand and with going forward. I mean, I think 5% of our profits goes to NPOs, and we're feeding. And what is your plan with Venomous in the future as it grows?
So we have product. And we know it's a pepper spray. A pepper spray is a pepper spray. My vision for the brand is to come across as a responsible self-defense product, that the information we put out there is helpful, and that we come across as a brand that cares, that gives back, that does the most for people. You mentioned the 5% giving back, so we give 5% of all online sales back to Ladles of Love. And the reason why we've made that long-term commitment, Jean, is because crime sometimes starts out of necessity. And if you think, there are kids that are hungry, and petty thefts start like that. These kids are in the shop and they're hungry, and so there's still a quick packet of chips. Or if you can change someone by feeding them, by giving them a full belly, by feeding a family today, it changes your whole attitude. It changes how you feel about the world. No one can think on an empty belly. A child cannot learn with an empty tummy. So when it comes to giving back, we want to start with we can't solve all the world's problems, but we can start somewhere. We can start by giving back somewhere. And we really want people to know that Venomous is a brand that cares, and we are committed to making a change one way or the other. Whether that is a pepper spray in your hand to prevent a dire situation, or if that is to feed a family, or to make noise about a campaign, that is my vision. And it's really just to create a bigger platform in which to share more information and to get that out there.
You're very one thing that I know is you're very passionate and you're very energetic when it comes to this stuff. For anyone that wants to get hold of you, wants to, whether it's help with the donations or get hold of your brand or or just want to chat with you, where can they get a hold of you? And this is the time this is your plug, this is your moment.
So I am very active on social media. Every day I'm on there, and I'm on Instagram, on the Venomous page, on Facebook. But I like to encourage people to go to the website. All the details are on there. Email, my cell number. There's a WhatsApp little tab on there. You click on that and I'll get a WhatsApp immediately. And I am 90% of the time I'll respond immediately. If not, it'll be because maybe
or just later that day.
Yeah, or you've messaged me at 2:00 in the morning and I'm fast asleep. But I will always get back to you, no matter who and what. I think it's just so important to have that engagement. And I encourage people to, if you've got a question about something, ask me. We had a gentleman who asked about a pepper spray for his motorbike. And I was like, well, let's look at creating something for your motor. There is, coming from hospitality, yes, I'm so grateful for the experience, but in hospitality, there's never, you never say no to something with just saying no within reason, okay? And I truly believe that in a service industry and providing a service, even if it's a product, I want to go above and beyond in providing that service. And if you throw a question at me and say, Celeste, I'm looking to put a pepper spray around my ankle, I'm gonna work with you and see. If you feel that you can only wear pepper spray around your ankle, I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna find a solution for you, because that's what we do.
The pepper spray trail.
That's okay. Each their own. And so I love it when people email me or they message me, or just give me a call. I'm always available. If I've missed your call, I'll call you back. But go onto the website, and the reason why I always say go onto the website, because then you can get a sense of the products. On Instagram and Facebook, sometimes it could be hard to navigate with all the images. I do post daily, so it's easier to go onto the website to have a look at the products and just to familiarize yourself. And then you go, hey Celeste, listen, I don't know, what does this Viper thing do? And I'm happy to talk you through that. And I'd love to engage with you. So please, by all means, contact me, call me, WhatsApp me. I'm not on Skype, but Zoom.
If there's anything that I would love, this is always something for me. Like, we're not here forever, but I would always want, if one day in some 2040, your son or your daughter, they look at this, and what will be the one thing that you will want to leave behind, whether it's a positive word, something that you live by, what will be that moment, or the quote, or whatever you live by, what will that be?
I want to inspire them to make a difference. That's it. Give back wholeheartedly and make a difference. That's it. In a positive way.
From the lady that makes a difference. This was a really great episode. It's your boy John Davids, and we are out of here.